We all have dreams, but dreams by their very nature can be difficult to achieve. That's where Access Credit Union comes in. Whether it's going to college, owning a car, or building your dream home, your local credit union can help you to fulfill your dreams. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. Before we kick things off, I'd just like to give a gentle reminder to our listeners and viewers to please rate, review and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union is well known for supporting local West Cork sport at all levels, and we look forward to telling that story throughout the summer and beyond. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years. On this week's podcast, we're chatting to Cork football legend Daniel Goulding after his club Éire Óg secured the 2020 Senior A Football Championship crown by beating Mallow on Saturday. Éire Óg will now meet Castlehaven, Newcestown and Carbery Rangers in the group stage of the 2021 Premier Senior Football Championship. We'll also hear from two members of the Berehaven Golf Club team that secured the club's first ever national title with a win over Baltinglass at Donegal Golf Club last week. O'Neill and Chris Downey both played key roles as the Beara club won the 2020 Jimmy Bruen Shield. But with only 31 days to go until the start of the Tokyo Olympics, we're going to start today's show by running through the West Cork athletes set to represent Ireland at the Summer Sporting Spectacular. Kieran will come to the rowers in just a second, but someone we haven't spoken about much in recent weeks is the Balloneen Bullet, Phil Healy. Where does Phil currently stand just over a month out from the opening ceremony?
So this time next week, or by Wednesday or Thursday of next week, Phil Healy will know for certain what events she's competing in at the Tokyo Olympics. The cutoff point for the 200 and 400 meter is June 29th. So Phil will, like I said, she'll know for definite how many events she'll be entered in. Phil is competing in the National Senior Championships this weekend into 400 meters. So how it works is with the 200, 400 and a lot of the athletics events, you have to be within a certain world ranking at the cutoff point, which is June 29th. So the qualification window will close on that date. And then it's the top 48, top 52, top 56 athletes, depending on the event, that will qualify for the games. Currently in the 200 meters, Phil is, I think she's 40 out of 56 athletes. So she's in a very healthy position to go to Tokyo in the 200 meters. In the 400 meters, currently she's 44th out of 48 athletes. So that's why she's focusing on the 400 meters at this weekend's National Senior Championships. She has the heats on Friday night and the final on Saturday. All going well there. Phil could win or should win the 400 meter title, and that's a big boost for Phil in ranking points then, and that will push her right up the rankings. So when the qualification window closes on June 29th, it'll probably take a day or two for World Athletics to sort out who is going and who isn't going, because some of the athletes ahead of Phil right now won't actually travel to the Olympics. So they'll take a bit of sorting out. So by next Wednesday, Thursday, we'll know for definite what events Phil is in. And it's also worth remembering that Phil also qualified with the Irish 4x400 meter mixed relay team. So touch wood again, she's almost nailed on as well as close as possible for a spot in that team. So hopefully she'll be qualified in 3 events for the games, and that will swell the West Cork ranks even more.
Well, just clarify that one for us then, Kieran, because obviously you mentioned she was part of the relay team that actually qualified for Team Ireland, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's guaranteed her place. It's a selection-based process. Is that correct?
Exactly, it's a selection-based process because Thomas Barr, who helped qualify that team back in May, he won't be competing on that team at the Olympics. So there was one spot open there for a male runner to come in. And then there's the likes of Rashiki Adeleke, who is flying at the moment, so she could come into the 400-meter team as well to really straighten that. So we have to wait to see when Team Ireland finally announces the official selection, but that should come quite soon as well. But you think, considering the form Phil is in and the role she played over two when that team qualified, that she looks very, very certain to be named in that squad as well.
And Kieran, just last week, you brought us the news on southernstar.ie that a total of 7 West Cork athletes and reserves and coaches will be representing rowing at the Tokyo Olympics. So there are 4 rowers, 2 reserves, and coach Dominic Casey. You had a great piece online, Meet the Rower. So for anyone who didn't actually see that piece or who hasn't had a chance to check it out on our YouTube channel, maybe you could give us a quick rundown of this historic moment, really, for West Cork rowing.
It's incredible, really, when you think about it, that if you look over the previous Olympics, 5 Skibbereen rowers went in total. You had Timmy Harnedy and Eugene Coakley back in Athens in 04. You had Richard Coakley in Beijing in 08. And obviously Gary and Paul won that famous Olympic silver medal in 2016. So that was 5 Skibbereen rowers at the Games. But now in one foul swoop, we have 6 rowers on the Team Ireland team that is travelling to Tokyo next month. And we also have Dominic Casey, who's a Rowing Ireland lightweight coach. So it's an incredible milestone, an incredible moment again for Skibbereen Rowing Club. And these athletes, these local athletes, will fly the Skib and West Cork flag with some pride in Tokyo next month. There is Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy in the Irish lightweight men's double, and this pairing have been dominant. They're world and European champions, and they go to Tokyo as a real medal prospect. And the reserve there is none other than Gary O'Donovan. So what a world-class athlete to be able to call on if needed. We have Emily Hegarty then in the Irish women's 4, another top-class athlete, and she's going to her first Olympic Games. Then in the Irish lightweight women's double, we've Aoife Casey, who is the daughter of Dominic Casey, and Aoife will be partnered by Margaret Crimmin from Rochestown. So that's an all-Cork boat. And the reserve for that Irish double is Lydia Heafy from Lep. So that are your 6 rowers there, plus Dominic Casey. And when you add in Phil Healy as well, that's 7 West Cork athletes going to the Tokyo Games, plus Dominic Casey. So it's a incredible moment again for West Cork sport. It's just West Cork, it's the gift that keeps on giving, Jack.
And just to flag for listeners and viewers of this podcast, we're going to have a special Tokyo Olympics magazine coming out soon. Could you tell us maybe a bit about that?
Yeah, that's in the pipeline. We're starting work on it now. So that'll be for the week of the Olympics, a 24-page special on the West Cork Olympians. So that's obviously Phil Healy and all the rowers. We'll be deep diving into what makes them so good, and we'll have special columnists coming on board too to give insight into these people as well. I don't want to give away too much too soon, but it's going to be top class local content as well. And whatever, when it comes to the West Cork Olympians, Southern Star has been number 1 for them over the years and will be number 1 for content and all information on all our Olympians again this year. So it's worth keeping an eye on over the next couple of weeks. We'll promo it, we'll talk about it, and we'll reveal more as we get closer. But already, Jack, there's some really top class interviews, some really revealing insight into our local heroes that will, like I said earlier, will fly the West Cork flag on the biggest sporting stage of them all.
And last question then, before we take a quick break here. Have you managed to convince our paymasters, the big wigs at the Southern Star, to allow you apply for accreditation and to book flights to represent the Southern Star on the ground in Tokyo? Or is that wishful thinking?
That's very much wishful thinking. My companion for the Tokyo Olympics will be this unicorn behind me to the right, which has been my friend on the podcast for the last couple of months. So I'll be based at home, keeping an eye on our West Cork Olympians. But if somebody wants to send me out or wants a charter flight to send me out to Tokyo, feel free to. You can email sport@southernstar.ie and just title it Help Our Sports Aid.
Great stuff. Well, coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Cork footballing legend Daniel Goulding.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Éire Óg booked their place in the 2021 Premier Senior Football Championship by beating Mallow 2-13 to 1-7 in the delayed Senior A Football Championship final on Saturday. Captain Daniel Goulding kicked 4 points for the Ovens men, and we'll hear from him in a moment. But Kieran, what can the West Cork sides, Castlehaven, Newcestown and Carbery Rangers, expect from Éire Óg when they meet later in the year?
Éire Óg's confidence will be sky high after the last couple of seasons. This is a team that's been on the rise for the last couple of years, so they're hitting the Premier Senior ranks for the first time in the club's history, taking their place in the top table of club football in Cork, and they won't fear anyone. I'd say if you told them in the morning they go out now and take on Castlehaven down in Castlehaven, they'd be there 5 hours before throwing. You know, they're going to be mad eager, mad keen just to kick on and just to show everyone that they deserve to be at the top level of Cork club football, which they do. Like, that was a very impressive win against Mallow last week. When you think back to last year's group stages of the championship, Mallow actually beat Éire Óg. So for Éire Óg to turn the tables and so impressively, and without some of their bigger names, Kieran Sheehan is out injured at the moment. He was missing. They lost Colin O'Callaghan to injury too the last day. So they've been missing a couple of we call them their bigger names and more established players, but they still turn on the style, a very emphatic win. And as you'll hear from Daniel Goulding now, they're looking forward to sinking their teeth into the West Cork trio of Castlehaven, Carbery Rangers and Newcestown. We're just a few days after Éire Óg's famous county final win, and we're joined now on the podcast by Captain Daniel Goulding. Daniel, congrats on Éire Óg's fantastic victory on Saturday night. Have your feet touched the ground yet? Has it sunk in what Éire Óg have achieved?
First of all, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it hasn't sunk in yet. I don't think it will for a while, probably. You know, it's great to be part of that performance on Saturday night. I think the way we played as well was, a lot of people saying the way we played football was good. It was good style, and it's nice that all the planning over 9 or 10 months to play one game, that you actually, when we turned up, we performed fairly well on the day, and that's nice too.
Is that very pleasing that you turn in such a big performance in such a big game on such a big stage? Like you said there, you've waited a long time for this Senior A football final, but you turned up when it mattered.
Yeah, I think in fairness to all the lads, like they were super all year. Like, even training on your own in January, February, like everyone was doing what they were supposed to do. Everyone was being accountable for themselves, and fellas came back. When we came back collective training then about 6 weeks ago, it was just football because everyone was already fit. So the hard work definitely paid off, and look, I'm delighted for all the lads, just all the players, all the hard work and long hours on their own that they put in this year. And it's great for the management too. They put in a huge effort as well, and obviously Paddy Kassan, you know, he just really well oiled for the big day.
Like we said there, it's been a long wait for this 2020 Cork Senior A football final, and we've gone through lockdowns and all since then. But was it always there in the back of the mind, like a motivating factor? Because you knew you'd have to play Mallow at some stage. So did it just keep you going, let's say, through the early months of this year, the dark nights, the long days, training on your own? Was it this always in the back of your mind that you would get your chance in the county final?
Yeah, exactly. That was. I'd imagine it would have been a lot harder harder is not the word, but motivation for a first round game. It's a lot easier to be your motivation for a county final. So I think everyone just knuckled down, and like, I suppose the beauty of it, we've nothing else to do. So training was all we could do anyway, even if it was on our own. But like, as I said, what people just bought into what Paddy laid out for us, and you know, there are a lot of young lads there, and it's competitive kind of setup. There's fellas fighting for places, which is great. So if anyone dropped off, there was someone to replace them straight away. So that's great for preparing for a county final, that you know that you can count on 24 or 5 fellas to be at the pitch of the game. And the show, we used all our bench, I think, as well. And we were down a couple of fellas, and fellas really stood up as well, as you know.
Just on that competition for places, and you made a great point there about the depth of the Éire Óg squad. No Kieran Sheehan, no John Mullins, Colin McCallum went off injured as well. Kind of 3 big names yet the fellas who replaced them were just as good and kind of carry the fight to Mallow as well. It shows you've developed a really strong panel there, Daniel.
Yeah, there is. I think the nucleus of that Premier Minor team they won the Premier Minor County Colmore Collins age group. 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, maybe. All of those lads kind of are still playing. They're kind of the nucleus of the group now. The average age of the group is about 23 or 4 if you take, I'd say it's only 20 if you take myself and the machine out of it. But yeah, and you know what, they're a great bunch of lads, and they love training and they love playing together and they love celebrating together too. And you know, they're very competitive, and as I said, like that, it's always a case of next man up with them and just do your job. Like in fairness to Paddy, he the game plan kind of nailed down, and like when you're on the pitch, you know exactly what you have to do, and it's just concentrating on your own job and what you're giving for the team. And you know that's why you have fellas coming in and replacing lads seamlessly.
You obviously know Paddy Casan well from your days in the Cork senior football team together, but in his role as a coach with Éire Óg, I saw a quote there from Harry O'Reilly. He said that Paddy trains the lads like a senior inter-county team and he sets very high standards. Just talking about Paddy's role and his importance in Éire Óg's success. Yeah,
look, there's two parts to it. I think he just raised the bar in terms of how we prepare for him physically. I think you can look at where those young lads are very athletic, like we're an athletic team, and you know, Paddy puts huge emphasis on, you know, being fit, number one, but trying to stay injury free, number two, and minding your body. And I think that's really improved for us over the last couple of years. And then on top of it is like his coaching has been excellent as well, and his attention to detail, and it's, you know, and it's just repetitive nature of it that everyone understands that it's so well drilled into us that we all have a job to do, and you might be doing something for the team and it's not for the benefit of yourself, but everyone just does what he asks because he's been there himself, he's done it, and you know, he's when you listen to him, like, you know what he's saying, he believes it himself and that he do it himself, so it's easy for all our lads to buy into him. When
you're looking back at last Saturday's final against Mallow, what are the big moments that stand out for you?
You know what? I don't know really, to be honest. The final whistle anyway was the first one. Final whistle and the couple of minutes on the pitch after. You know, it was great to even have 100 Éire Óg people there. You know, it just made it that bit more special, and people that have been involved with the club all through the years, family, friends, kind of. I was just even to have those people there was great. You know, to be fair, there's the thing I just couldn't get over, the athleticism of or the middle eight particularly, like the two Coopers, Jack Murphy, Ronan Cullen, well before he got injured, Hallisey when he came out, and all these fellas just starved for work and running and, you know, creating overlaps and tracking back, chasing hard. Like, they just worked tirelessly for the hour. Like, it's just very impressed with it. Like, they just really, like John Cooper at every water break could barely talk. He was just sitting on his own in one of the seats. Like, you can see him in the video, it's hilarious. And then, like, he just gets up and goes at it for another 15 minutes again. Like,
it's an incredible moment. Like, I can imagine when the final whistle went last Saturday night and Éire Óg you know that you're going up to the top tier of Cork club football for the first time in the club's history. And this journey that the team has been on, or the club has been on in the last number of years, is quite extraordinary. And yourself, Dermot O'Hurley, you've been there from the junior days right up to the senior ranks, kind of winning the junior back in 08, intermediate in 2014, Premier Intermediate in 2019, and now the Senior A. Do you have to pinch yourself, Daniel, looking at the journey that the club has been on?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I suppose what people wouldn't realise when you see where we are now is that, like, when I started, like, you'd play a championship on a Saturday and your first training might have been on Thursday, because we were predominantly hurling. It was more hurling focused. We were intermediate hurling, and you know, that was most of the lads' focus was on hurling back then. Like, and that's where we started. And you know, there's a huge amount of work from an awful lot of people to kind of start it off. I'd say with our minor team, and I won a minor with say Dermot's brother in 2002. That's kind of how it all started. The bit of focus of football came from there, and like, there's loads of fellas a lot of good Kerry men around the place. John O'Shea would have put in huge work with us. He was involved in the other first two counties, and Tom Scally, Jimmy Corkery, all these fellas, Joe O'Connor, they're all fellas that no one would probably know was involved now, but they all put in crazy work, say, through the years. And like all the people that go down every Saturday morning, even know at underage, like the place on Saturday morning, you can't get in there. It's crazy how the club has transformed over the years. And it's nice it's nice for all of them as well, and all those people, and say our chairman Pat Malone, these fellas that put in crazy work with the last 40 years, and it's nice to get some reward for the club and put them in the spotlight for a bit.
It's like you've said there, so many people have been involved in this journey, and this is getting to the top Premier Senior grade. It's the culmination of years and decades of hard work. How much are you looking forward to mixing it with some of the big boys later in the summer?
Yeah, it's going to be great, yeah. As I said, when you go from playing first round of the Mid Cork Championship to playing Castlehaven and Ross and Newcestown, it's what dreams are made of, really. It'll great challenge again now, it's going to be great buzz playing those games, and I suppose we've nothing to lose either. We've the success of the last 2 years, I suppose, kind of takes all the pressure off, and it was also nice, I suppose, to being when we won the Premier Intermediate. It was probably for me anyway, it was a small bit disappointing that the new grade was set up the next year, so you didn't actually go up to proper senior. So it was nice to finish it off as well and do it so quickly. And as I said, now playing with the big boys now, it's going to be good fun.
Did that actually make you even more determined to get up to the top grade? The fact, like you said there, you won Premier Intermediate 2019, but then the Senior A came in last year, so you're almost denied the chance of going straight up to the top senior ranks.
Yeah, I suppose it was in the back of my head anyway. I was never really talked about as a group, but I suppose it was always in the back of my head that you'd like to jump, you'd like to do the full jump, and there's a nice ring to it now when you say how we've gone from junior to senior, four counties. It's great for the club.
Like I mentioned there, you're going to crash the West Cork group there in the Premier Senior ranks with Castlehaven, Carbery Rangers, and Newcestown, like some big names in there. Some county winners, obviously the county finalist Castlehaven. If I had to put you on the spot, Daniel, which one of those three teams would you be most looking forward to coming up against?
They're all going to bring their own challenges for different reasons. It's supposed to be great to play the Haven in Championship just because they're the Haven, they're synonymous with they were a small rural club and they did amazing things, and it's just great to play them. Like they're at the top table near the lead there every year, and Ross as well. Sure, look, they'll get to play against John Hayes in Championship. It's it's looking forward to all the games, to be honest with you.
I presume
we always have great battles. We played Newcestown the last couple of years and a lot of league games. We always have great battles with them as well. So there's one thing for sure anyway, none of it's going to be easy.
I presume the Éire Óg footballers will play the championship game in the morning. You probably can't wait now for the throw in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, do you know what? No, it's funny. We're our focus is switching out to hurling. And the majority of us are playing both. So we're probably 5 weeks of hurling now, and we probably won't see a football. Fairness, that's one thing that's been brilliant this year between our two setups. And last year, they just worked together so well and just really looked after the players. No players were ever dogged for doing too much, and it has worked very well. And I think the hurlers gave us 4 to 5 weeks before the football final, and now football has returned the favour. So I'm looking forward to that now. Next our hurling final will be in Park Equive is another nice one to look forward to.
And for you on a personal level, Daniel, to captain this group of lads, to captain them to such a famous victory, and now to be looking forward to playing senior club football with your club, how important is that to you?
Yeah, it is. It's I felt the pressure this week, and definitely, I think it told me on the pitch as well. It wasn't my best performance by a long shot in any of the finals, and there was a pressure on me definitely. And as much as you try to tell yourself there's not, it's not important, or that it's not a huge deal. It in the back of your head, it is a really big deal. I felt that pressure going to that game like none of the other finals. So yeah, means the world. Like as I said, for the players and the management, first of all, just that their efforts reward, like, and it's a great group of lads. The camaraderie there is, and to see them all kind of max out and play to their best ability on when it mattered most was just great. And then it's great for the club as well. And it's we played. I played years with other teams. Like, it's funny you said it was only two, but there was lots of years we were known as nearly men, or that we threw away games and we should have done this and we should have done that. So look, it's nice for the club just to kind of be mentioned now in a positive light for being successful at the moment.
And when you lifted the cup on Saturday night and you were looking down at the teammates, and like you said, there was Éire Óg fans there and probably some family members as well, that must have been really special.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was again a bit surreal. It was a bit strange, but it was fantastic. Like, in fairness, they gave us the cup for, and I'd say that most 100 people got a picture with the cup, like, and that was great too. Like, and then you have to give it back. Just like another funny thing, but yeah, it was really, really special. Yeah, I'm just delighted for everyone involved.
I have to ask you too, Daniel, while I have you on the podcast. Obviously, Kieran Sheehan retired from inter-county action over the weekend, but the hope is he's going to play on with Éire Óg for years to come, and we're all looking forward to that. But as a footballer, like, what a class act Kieran is.
Yeah, as a footballer, as a person, yeah, he's just a very, very humble, genuine lad, and obviously unbelievably talented. And look, at least for him, it's his body that's making him pack up, and that in some ways that might be a bit easier for him. It's unfortunate for him, but look, he has his all-Ireland medal. He's got counties at Éire Óg. He's played in front of 100,000 people in Australia in a different sport. Like, he's done it all, and he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. So, yeah, look, I hope now, and I've no doubt he'll manage that knee as best he can, and he'll play with us again. That'll be something to look forward to too, because even when at the start of last year, when we got back, we played a couple of league games, and before the knee started getting in trouble, and he was flying, and he was like the Kieran of 21 or 22 years of age, and look, please God, we'll get to see that again. But yeah, as I said, look, tough on him, but I've no doubt he'll whatever he's going to do next, he'll try with it, and he'll approach it with the same way he's come back from all his injuries. He's mentally very strong, and he comes across with a kind of calm, cool exterior, like, but there's a mental toughness in his head, and I'm sure he'll play with us again, and he'll lead us again as well.
I think the hope is we're all looking forward to see Kieran back in the football field. One moment stands out in my head, just from Cork and Laois earlier this year, Daniel. Early in that game, Luke Connolly floated in this high ball into the Cork full forward line, and Kieran jumped into the air. I'm not joking. It was like he was hanging in the air, and he just plucked the ball from the sky, called a mark and pointed it, and you're looking at him saying, "Jesus, that's pure touch of class." He just, like you said, he just had it as a footballer, or has it?
I remember that play. I watched that game. Yeah, there's a famous picture of him as well from when we played Castlehaven in the county final in 2012, maybe. Like, Andrew Sullivan, Butcher is going up for the ball, like, and Kieran is about 4 foot over him, like, and Butcher is jumping, like, it was crazy jump ball together, and the ball in his hand is just, he had that, he's gifted, like, Kieran's gifted talent, like, and I suppose, look, it's just unfortunate for him that his body is probably won't allow him to play at the intensity that he needs at that level, but as I said, he's done it all as well, and he's nothing to prove to anyone.
Exactly, no doubt he'll be back to torment senior clubs in the months and years ahead. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Congratulations again on Éire Óg's success, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Cheers.
We all have dreams, but dreams by their very nature can be difficult to achieve. That's where Access Credit Union comes in. Whether it's going to college, owning a car, or building your dream home, your local credit union can help you to fulfill your dreams. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Berehaven Golf Club enjoyed their first ever national success when they beat Baltinglass in the final of the 2020 Jimmy Bruen Shield at Donegal Golf Club last week. The Beara side were given a hero's welcome when they arrived back in Castlehaven, Beara. And Kieran, you caught up with two members of the team, Joe O'Neill and Chris Downey, to speak about the success. This is a great local story, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And interesting dynamic here between Joe and Chris. While Joe was a team captain and manager for the Berehaven Golf Club team that won the Jimmy Bruen, Chris Downey is his manager inside in Super Value, inside in Castletown Beara, but the roles were reversed in the name of Berehaven Golf when Joe was the manager with Chris taking instructions. But it's a relationship that works, and it's obviously a team that works very well together. 19 local men travelled up to Donegal for the All-Ireland. It's 2 weeks ago now, and they came home as All-Ireland champions, and with Berehaven Golf Club's first ever national senior title as well. And this is a 9-hole golf club tucked away down in the Beara Peninsula, but they proved that they're just as good as anyone else in the country when it comes to golf. We think of Beara, we think of football. It's a GA stronghold. We might have to add golf to that list now, because this Berehaven Golf Club team achieved something that was never achieved by Berehaven Golf Club before. They went to Donegal, they brought home an All-Ireland. And it's just a great story, Jack, because this is a collection of a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. We've fishermen, we've shop owners, we've postmen, we've builders, we've 5 Castlehaven Beara footballers. So it pulls from all strands of the local community, and it's just a really good local success story. And as you'll hear now from Joe and Chris, they're still celebrating Berehaven Golf Club's famous win. Forget John Ram at the US Open. The biggest golf story in town is still Berehaven Golf Club's recent 2020 Jimmy Bruen Shield final triumph in Donegal. We're joined now by two of the heroes of this team captain and manager Joe O'Neill and golfer extraordinaire Chris Downey. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
Joe, I'm going to come to you first. We had Padraig Harrington on this podcast a couple of weeks ago because of his Beara links, his very, very strong connections to Beara. And as we all know, he's Ryder Cup captain in a couple of months' time. So given your success with Berehaven Golf Club, I presume you're open to sharing some of your secrets to success with Padraig Harrington.
Actually, I don't know. No, I'd say he wouldn't need any advice off me. I'd say he's safe enough. I would know, like, it's brilliant. Like, I suppose it's a similar kind of job you have, but obviously I think there's a small more pressure on him to pick a Ryder Cup team, I think. But I think I've done all right for first time out.
Like, Joe, I suppose this was the first national title in the history of Berehaven Golf Club. Have your feet touched the ground since Donegal?
Jeez, it is. I'd say not really. I'd say it's kind of like even kind of coming back to work now, even the last week and things, and people are still even it gone a week. Like, people are still talking about it, like, which is absolutely brilliant. Like, you know, like when we came back from Donegal, like, it was, for me anyway, it only started hitting home because we were so far away up in Donegal. We were kind of in our own bubble, like, you know. But when we came down, then obviously you see your family and friends and see how much it meant to the community down here. For me, that's when I started kicking in, and we're slowly coming back down to earth. But we'll be living off this one for a while anyway, I'd say.
Chris, when you think of Beara, first off, you think of GA. It's a football stronghold. So what's the secret to Berehaven's golf club success? How did this collection of golfers, this group of men, come together to form a team that's good enough to win an All-Ireland title?
I suppose we always felt we had good golfers in the golf club. Any time previously we would go out, we had a small panel, so we'd always win our first game. And if we had to play a second game in the evening, you know, we didn't really have the strength and depth for another couple of lads to come in. So we'd always also be missing a few lads playing football. You know, there'd be a match on, so we might be missing 2 or 3 lads. So kind of with COVID and only having to play one game a day and having a full panel available, the stars aligned for us. You know, we just got our best 10 and 12 lads out there every time, and it made a big difference to us.
Joe, this isn't an overnight success story either. Like, this has been the culmination of a lot of years of hard work from the golf club. Kind of some of the team members have come up through from the very young ranks, come up through, and I wrote in last week's Southern Star, there's fishermen, postmen, builders, shop owners, you name it. This team has it. So what was involved in bringing everyone together from the different strands of the community and even different sporting backgrounds?
I suppose, like, we all, like you're saying there, that the football is probably the biggest sport down here. Like, there's, like I said, 5, 6 of us still currently playing. Like, well, I think, like, it just, I suppose the group of lads came together. Like, it's been there, like, the lads have been playing, I'd say, like, at a level good enough for the last 3 or 4 years. But it's just the fact that I think even with COVID, having a break away from the football as well, it kind of when the golf course opened back, like lads were itching to go back playing. Like obviously lads are still training as well, but I think a massive advantage for us is that like we're not a big club, so like we don't have to worry about going online and booking a tea time or booking going online to choose our Wednesday night to book a competition for the weekend. We have the freedom to actually go out and play a couple of holes or play 9 holes and not really be bothered too much. Like I think that's massive because we were tipping away the whole time. Then
So practice makes perfect. And Chris, I want to go back to the Munster final last year of the Jimmy Bruen, because that seems like it was a breakthrough moment for this team. That's when Berehaven Golf Club won its first ever Munster senior pennant. I think you beat, was it Shannon 3-2 on O'Mahony's Point down in Clarny, which is a famous course, obviously the Irish Open all those years ago. But in terms of that win, did that just prove to you and show you that you are good enough to hold your own with the best in the country and actually go out and beat them on the course?
Yeah, I think it just gave us that little bit of confidence to say we can do it. Like that was my 22nd or 23rd year in a row representing the club in Jimmy Bruen since I was about 14 years old. And like there's 5 or 6 of us on the panel in the same boat, playing year in, year out, playing good golf, but just not breaking through, not making that final putt to get through to the next round, So there's plenty of experience in the team. Small club, 198 members is what we have from juniors, ladies and men's. So like small club, we all know each other, we all get on. And I think Munster in Clarny last year, there was very little nerves, and we kind of we were going to go out and do it and prove it to ourselves that we were good enough, and thankfully we got across the line.
Let's on that for a second, Chris. Like you said there, you've been playing for the Jimmy Bruen since you were 14. So did you notice there was something different about this group?
I did. Up in Donegal, it was amazing. Like there was no nerves whatsoever. I think everyone had that little bit of confidence, and it wasn't arrogance, but everyone knew their job. And we were going out, especially in the semi-final. We were going out. We didn't want to come down back to Castlehaven losing a semi-final. I suppose we felt if we lost the final, we could probably handle that. But to come away from Donegal with not even getting to the final, we didn't want that for our club. We didn't want that for the teams, And lads just were determined to go out and do their job. And thankfully that happened.
You mentioned obviously the semi-final and the final were up in Donegal. That's a 6-hour one-way trip without stopping the car. So it's the opposite side of the country. But for you, Joe, as a manager, what does that entail? How much preparation goes into preparing for like a semi-final and a final?
I suppose like the situation that I was given anyway was that obviously it was a long journey. Like a couple of us stayed back. We actually football match with Castlehaven on the Monday, and a couple of us stayed back and we travelled up to that. There was only 2 lads travelled up the Tuesday morning, so everyone was there, and you could, fair enough, we were late enough to get you up there, but everyone was in bed early the Monday. They were kind of relaxed in Tuesday, and they were leisurely. Like I felt that if you were leaving any later, like it's kind of too slapdash, like it'd be too thrown together then, and lads would even feel themselves that they weren't prepared, And obviously, like the lads themselves, like the experience is there. I didn't really have to tell them much regards preparing. Like they all knew they had to bring their rain gear and whatever. Their clubs were in order and their gear, or whatever. Like I had to do much that way. But there was a bit of work into it. All right, but it paid off in the end. All right.
How does it come to picking the pairings then, Joe? Are there kind of set pairings that have evolved over years, or fellas know that they're comfortable playing together, or how do you settle on who goes out with who?
Well, I suppose with the Bruen, I suppose like this year, like it works on handicaps as well. So like typically you have a lower guy playing off probably 5 or 6, playing with a fella that's normally off, we say 9 or 10. But I guess you have to think of a partnership too. Like you can have a 5 handicapper or 10 handicapper and play them together, and they mightn't get on. And not even that they mightn't get on, their games mightn't work together. So there was a bit of chopping and change, but I think there was a couple of players, even from kind of early on, that were fairly, well, in my head anyway, were fairly concrete. I didn't really have much reason to change much. Obviously, when you play through rounds, like there might be lads, it might be one fella missing, or like we had an injury at the start of the year, and that had to be replaced. And you always have small issues like that as you go along. But the panel was strong enough, thankfully. Those lads that just got straight in, and like we all know each other well enough now that we all get on. Like it made my job fairly easy in that respect as well. Like.
And Chris, you were in action in the semi-final on the Wednesday. That was a 3.5 to 1.5 semi-final win over Baltinglass. What are your big recollections of your game that day?
It was a tough battle. I played with David Kelly that day, and there was only 3 holes won in the whole match. We were 1 down playing 17, so out of 16 holes, 13 of them were halved. Ballinasloe were a good team, and I think when we managed to get across the line against Ballinasloe, we'd no worries for the final, especially when the home club Donegal were taken out by Baltinglass as well. That gave us another boost, because Donegal on their own patch would have been a daunting task.
So that night, Chris, right after winning the semi-final against Ballinasloe, and you're preparing for the final the next day against Baltinglass, what do you do that night then, and even going into the next morning, just to stay grounded, to stay focused?
We did loads of different stuff. So a couple of us went to Killybegs. My dad's a fisherman here, and I hadn't been in Killybegs, so I thought I better take the road up there. So 3 or 4 of us went there. A couple of the lads went for a seaweed bath.
Names, please.
Yeah. So there was loads of, like, we went for walks on the beach after our meal. We had a meal together that night. But I was blown away that there was no nerves, nothing whatsoever. Lads were confident in their own ability, and I think fair credit goes to Joe for setting us up. He showed great leadership and maturity in the way he handled the team. We also had a great panel as well. A couple of the other lads that weren't playing. It's hard to take when you're not picked, but they made us laugh. They took away the nerves. They had the crack. It was really a team effort, in fairness, not just the 10 who were playing.
The morning of the final, so Joe, was there a team meeting? What was the rallying cry you issued to the lads before they hit the course?
So like we had a brief meeting. Like there wasn't the whole point we talked about. Like I gave the team the night before. Look, we had a quick talk. We talked about how the semi-final went. Things that we wanted to look at, like attacking, because like there was 33 birdies made in the semi-final. So like the standard of golf in the semi-final. Sorry, there was 33 made in the semi-final, but still standard of golf. Like there was no worries in my head about the standard that was being played. Obviously, the final it kind of blew a bit of a gale, all right. But just refreshing lads' heads, like, you know, kind of getting them thinking that the semi-final is gone now. You have to try and move on and think of the next thing. And obviously, preparation, I felt that the most important time for preparation was actually from when we got into the hotel after the semi-final that night. So like them couple of hours even before you go to bed, I felt that was the most important. And like Chris said, a couple of lads went away to Killybegs, and a couple of lads went had their seaweed baths or whatever. We sat down to dinner. All of us had a couple of pints. We were nice and relaxed, and I was trying to get to the lads as relaxed as they can. Just even thinking that they were going out the next morning playing 9 holes in Berehaven, that they weren't thinking of every shot in their head. Worry about that in the morning. And thankfully, I think it worked for most of it. I think everyone had a fairly good night's sleep. You
said there about keeping the lads relaxed. How relaxed were you when the final was going on? 5 matches, like a terrific final. So what was it like for you, trying to keep track of all the different pairings that were out there, and even working out the scores and so on?
Well, for me, I'd say when I came home, I was mentally shattered, because I'd say I hit every single shot in my own head. And there was times there I was thinking, I was like, oh God, is he going to hit this one, or where's this going to? And I was running around there for the 5 pairings. So thank God, no team training Castlehaven finally paid off for me. Anyway, I'd say I covered the whole course 20 times over, I'd say, on the final day. But I know, for me, going up there, I was relaxed until the first tee shot was hit in the semi-final, and going around, even early days, I was kind of reassured, because there was a couple of matches went up early, and I felt that the semi-final went so well that I didn't even have much nerves. I was kind of more excited to watch it than nervous, if you get me, because I know it's there's a lot of pressure playing in at that level, and I was blown away by how calm and low key confident the lads were. They were confident in their own abilities. So for me, it was actually, the final was a lot more enjoyable to watch, even though it was nail biting. But I had belief in the whole way around too, So it was nice overall, in fairness.
And Chris, David Kelly and yourself, you had a 6-5 win in the final. Was it as comfortable as the scoreline suggests?
We were 5 up after 5, and it was the most enjoyable experience I've ever had, because you could actually enjoy it. We were in an All-Ireland final day, and David turned around to me after 5 holes and he said, this is beyond my wildest dreams, we've been on the other side of them. We've been 5 down after 5 sometimes as well, and we did feel sorry for the lads but we weren't going to take our shoe off either, you know. We had to do a job, we had to deliver a point, and thankfully we did.
That must be the stuff of dreams, Chris, to be 5 up after 5 holes in an Ireland final.
Yeah, crazy. Couldn't write the story, like we couldn't have went better for us, you know. I suppose it was like we wanted to win that game as early as possible so we could give the lads a boost and say, well, there's one in the bag, we only need 2 more. So that was our objective, was as fast as we could deliver the point.
And the crucial point was scored on the 16th green with Declan Dunn and Luke Sullivan did a 4-2 win over Fergal Donoghue and Nathan Geraghty, I think, from Baltinglass. What was that feeling like, Joe, when that win was secured and you knew that Berehaven Golf Club were All-Ireland champions?
Yeah, it was a feeling of just pure relief, of just thinking, I was just not even for myself, for the whole club, like, and especially for the group of lads, because like there was coming down 15, there was 2 brilliant iron shots hitting the 15 to kind of take it, like they won 15 to go 3 up, and then I was kind of thinking, right, this is actually happening. Because before, my mind was a blank to what even round we were at in the final. I was just kind of concentrating on the golf. And I think there was 2 great iron shots hitting on 15 out of the rough, and they weren't out easy lies either, like, which set up them to win 15 and go 3 up with 3 to play. So all I was thinking was, like, you know, you'd be thinking par 1 of the last 3, you'd be safe enough for, you know, like drawing all birdies. So when the puck went in, I was delighted, like, you know. And in fairness, like, Dick to hold the last putt, I think was very fitting, because he's the kind of fella that's kind of stepped up in the last couple of months. Like, his game's come on and off leaps and bounds, and it's done. Everyone was kind of happy that it fell on Dick to do it. You know, I felt like it was the right person to do it. So delighted for him and delighted for the rest of the lads as well, to the feeling relief for it.
Club chairman Kevin O'Neill in last week's Star saying it was a phenomenal achievement and hailing the team for what you achieved in Donegal. And yeah, I know you had a great homecoming. So how eager were you to get back down to Castletown Beara from Donegal for the homecoming, to meet family, friends, teammates, just to share this fantastic win?
It was incredible. Like, there was tears in people's eyes who'd been involved in the club for so long, and I suppose we never thought we'd see the day that national pennants have come home to Berehaven. Like, there's so many good men that have worked and played in that golf club gone before us, the likes of Colin Breen, John Donoghue, and Pierce Lyne, just to name a couple. Like, they were all entering our heads as we were coming around the corner to the square, and I certainly was blown away when I saw what was in the square waiting for us. I suppose we didn't realise what we were after achieving and what it meant to our community. A positive news story, I think. Like, everybody has been down in the dumps from COVID to restrictions, and this was just a shining light. I suppose we were always wondering, would it ever get played? And to get that opportunity, then we said we weren't going to let go of this. And like, the last week has been incredible inside in the shop. Like, you can't walk a couple of feet with someone coming up congratulating you. Like, it's been incredible. I don't think it's sunk in yet what we've achieved. It probably won't for a while until we probably try again and fail, you know.
And Joe, what do you think the legacy of this will be for Berehaven Golf Club?
Like I said to you last week, so I think it's, for me, I think it's the start of something. You know, like, it's just say it's finally got the ball moving, like, and I think at every level, like we had a Barton Shield game there just the weekend gone, and we got over the line on that, and I think people are actually, it's made people kind of believe in what they can actually do. Like, you know, like, all I've heard, even playing when I was younger, the club is a small club, like, you know, they won't be up to much, and that's what we've heard for a long time. And I think by doing this, it's to say, look, Berehaven, we're here to play golf as well, you know, and that not just to push us aside because the size of our community or the size of our members, like, you know. So for me, like I think a big thing to pull out even of the coming season is to try and say, obviously, try and push on and do well in the Bruin again this year, but to try and push on something else as well, because the lads are getting lower and better the whole time. So you can look at a better and lower standard of golf then, you know.
And Joe, one of the kind of interesting aspects, and you mentioned it to me last week when we were chatting, and Kevin O'Neill mentioned it as well, on the Saturday morning after the homecoming, there was it 30, 40, 50 youngsters out on the golf course. Like, that's great for the future of the golf club, that you have these young local kids interested in golf, and now they've seen you achieve what you've achieved. So that old saying, success breeds success, you'd hope that will inspire those kids to keep playing golf.
hopefully, like we have our guru down at home, Timmy Lynch. If we have any problems, most lads go to him. And in fairness, like nearly all of us, like I've gone to him, a lot of the younger lads have gone to him when we all started playing golf. And like he's an absolute credit to the club, and he has more than a handful of helpers helping him every Saturday morning. And like the work he does that goes on behind the scene, there's not half enough credit given to him, because without him, there's nothing coming through. And like we went to all the primary schools in Beara. Either we went to Castlehaven today now, and we went to a few of them last week during the week. And like even to see if you pulled a couple of them from every couple of classes, even if you got 5 or 6 out of every primary school, like the numbers keep growing and growing, like So it's only going to be growing from here, I think. Which is brilliant to see as well, because the young people are the ones that are going to be driving the club.
Just tell me a small bit about the golf course itself.
In Castlehaven?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, 9-hole course, fairly difficult. Its style is probably a little linksy. Our final 3 holes, we played against Glengarry in the Barton at the weekend, and we were told our final 3 holes are the best 3 holes in Cork. All water. At the 7th hole, you have to carry the water with your tee shot, and you have to carry your water with your approach shot to the green as well. So, like, on some courses, you can get away with maybe hitting an old thin one, an old runny one, up the fairway, and you can't do that in Berehaven. You always have a wind, so like we'd be mentally strong for whatever would be thrown at us, and like credit must be given to the people who are in charge of the course as well. Our greenkeeper Brendan, our greens have come on in the last 3 years leaps and bounds, and I think it has made the difference between us being successful and not. Like before, we used to go to an away club to play a match, and we'd struggle to get the pace in the green because our own weren't maybe as good at home. But the last 3 to 4 years, our course has stepped up something incredible. And again, it's down to COVID, down to fellas volunteering their time and going out and digging a drain and all this kind of stuff, Like, it's been incredible, the amount of volunteer work that we've had out there as well. So the club has come together as well as the community. So like it can only be good for the Beara Peninsula.
100%. It's an incredible local sporting success story, but a success story for the whole community as well. And so many different side stories to this story. Like you mentioned there, Joe, about the Castlehaven Beara footballers, and five of you didn't play the night after the homecoming. Castlehaven Beara beat Carbery Rangers in the Tom Creedon Cup. And one of the side stories I'm interested in is the dynamic between the two of you, because Chris is the owner and he runs Super Value in Castlehaven Beara, and that's where Joe works as well. So, Chris, what was it like for you to take orders from Joe up in Donegal?
Well, I think I said there earlier, like he showed massive leadership skills. He showed great maturity. I had no bother rowing in behind him for a couple of days, but I was glad when the roles were reversed and I was back to the shop.
It was nice to have to run him for the week.
He hasn't put in for extra days off yet, is he?
Not yet, no. But like I suppose on any team, you have to know your place as well. You have to know when to speak up and when not to. And like Joe led us incredibly, and it was fitting that he was the man in the first car coming into Castlehaven, holding that shield. I think every one of us behind him were proud of that moment,
No, like I said, it's an incredible local sporting success story. One of the sporting stories in West Cork this year. So congrats to you, Chris. Congrats, Joe. Congrats to everyone involved on the team and everyone in Berehaven Golf Club. And best of luck for the rest of the year.
Super. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
We all have dreams, but dreams by their very nature can be difficult to achieve. That's where Access Credit Union comes in. Whether it's going to college, owning a car, or building your dream home, your local credit union can help you to fulfill your dreams. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Okay, Kieran, then before we wrap things up, I think there's a bumper Southern Star sports section coming this week. Would I be right in saying that? It's getting bigger and bigger as the weeks of summer progress.
100%. This is the biggest sports section of the year so far, and it is absolutely jam-packed and crammed with the best of West Cork sport in action. We have an interview with John Murphy, the Kinsale golfer, who is teeing off life on the Challenge Tour this Thursday in France. It's the first of 7 Challenge Tour events that he is going to compete in over the over the next couple of weeks and months as he dips his toe into life as a professional golfer. So just want to wish John Murphy the very best of luck there. We touched on earlier when we were chatting about Phil Healy that the National Senior Athletics Championships are on this Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and we have a lot of top class local athletes like Phil, Shane Howard, Darren McElhinney, they'll all be in action there. But last weekend, it was the next generation of West Cork sports stars who were flying the West Cork flag at the under 23 and junior championships, and they brought home the gold as well. Lauren McCourt, Fionn Harrington, Maeve O'Neill, Nicola Tuttle, they all won gold. So huge congrats to all of them. We have a lot of GA action too, because this Saturday, it's Dublin and Cork in the Ladies National League Division 1 Football League final. We have interviews with Darren O'Sullivan, Melissa Duggan, Martina O'Brien, and Aoife Fitzgerald. So that's well worth checking out. Also, in the inside track, Holly O'Sullivan, in his weekly column, he runs the roost over Cork footballers' National League campaign, and he picks out 5 talking points from Cork's 4 games, and he's looking at Cork's defensive struggles. They conceded a lot in their last couple of games against Clare and Westmeath. He's telling Ronan McCarthy that he needs to wrap Ian Maguire in cotton wool for the championship coming up. So that's well worth checking out. We also have a full page on the big derby last weekend, which was O'Donovan Rossa and Castlehaven in the County Football League. It finished honours even with our man Tom Lyons on the ground there. So we have a full page match report and reaction from that. There's also a lot of other local matches as well in the Junior A Football Championships with wins for Kilmackabee and Ivlera from Musgrave. And that's actually a very interesting County Junior A Football Championship semi-final to look forward to in the months ahead. The Musgrave champions against the West Cork champions. And we have full reports and reaction from all of those and a lot more. So just Jack, I'd recommend this Thursday's Southern Star.
Absolutely. And if you can't make it to the shops, you can always subscribe to the Southern Star digital edition online and read it from anywhere in the world. Just go to www.southernstar.ie/e-paper and read the Southern Star on your computer, tablet, or smartphone for less than €2 per week. Thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Slán Tamil.